Hello and welcome to Sportsweek. I'm Roger Cannon. Coming up on today's show,
Basingstoke fall down the table as Bristow condemns inside.
We started the game as bad as I can remember us starting the game. I thought we were abysmal. We didn't match them for energy, for tempo, for pace.
Tottenham face Poole Town in the Redenshaw Cup. Rachel Gunter looks at growth in women's football.
There is still a stigma around girls playing football, but that has changed massively, certainly in the last 10-12 years that I've been involved.
Eastleigh's conference fixture against Lincoln City was postponed on Saturday, but not in the way you'd expect for this time of year. A hotel fire meant that the away side were unable to retrieve the team's kit prior to the game. Ross Perkins is at the Silver Lake Stadium with more.
This was the scene at the Hilton Hotel in Chilworth, Southampton, which caused Eastleigh's game against Lincoln City to be postponed. The Lincoln team were staying in the hotel when a fire broke out in the sauna on the morning of the match. Over 50 firefighters were called to combat the flames. The players were unable to retrieve their belongings, causing the match to be cancelled, much to Eastleigh manager Richard Hill's disappointment.
You know, these things come along. And you actually see something every season, don't you, where something's been called off quite bizarrely, or whether there's been traffic on a motorway or something like that. You know, it is what it is, and we just have to move on and get on with it.
So big disappointment for Eastleigh, who were unable to continue their fine form with 5 wins in their last 6 games. But it was also a disappointment for Lincoln City and their supporters, who travelled almost 200 miles to see the Imps play. The club was quick to update fans on what was happening through a series of messages on Twitter. Lincoln City also posted a statement on their official website regarding the postponed fixture. They said, "Fortunately, nobody was hurt, and the club would like to thank the staff of the Hilton Southampton and members of Hampshire Fire and Rescue, plus referee Chris Powell and Eastleigh Football Club. We would also like to thank our supporters who had made the long trip down to Eastleigh for the game. We fully understand your frustrations, but as you can understand, public safety at times like this is far more important than the game of football." A date hasn't been set for the rearranged match as of yet, but purchased tickets from last Saturday still remain valid. A minor setback for both clubs, but hopefully a problem that will be sorted in the not too distant future. Ross Perkins, Winchester News Online, Eastleigh.
I thought we were abysmal. Those were the words of Basingstoke manager Jason Bristow following Basingstoke's Conference South loss to St Albans. The manager was clearly unhappy with the performance from his side, who have slipped to 4th place in recent weeks. Elliot Buckley saw the action.
St Albans City will feel that they should have been at least 4-0 up after 20 minutes after they had a flurry of clear-cut chances. On loan Luton Town midfielder Charlie Smith will feel that he should have put them in the lead early on after this goalmouth scramble. St Albans continues to cause a threat with a timid shot that was hit straight at keeper Stuart Moore. The keeper then picked out a fine save, getting down to parry this drilling shot by Smith just wide of the post and keep the home side in it. But Basingstoke got what was coming to them when finally Charlie Smith produced some neat footwork to beat the defender and place it into the bottom corner. This was the player's first goal of the season. The home side managed to put a flurry of chances together after the goal and nearly equalised from this speculative effort just going wide of the post. Keeper Joe Welch was tested when this free kick took a slight deflection and he produced a fine save to keep his side in the lead. The day could have been much worse for the home side if it wasn't for Stuart Moore's goalkeeping heroics, once again keeping St Albans at bay. And David Ray's last-minute efforts summed up a very disappointing afternoon for the club. Elliot Buckley, Winchester News Online.
We started the game as bad as I can remember us starting the game. I thought we were abysmal. We didn't match them for energy, for tempo, for pace, and for desire. It seemed at times in the first half. Second half, we had a bit more possession of the ball, but we didn't quite make that count. And you know, we probably should have been 5-0 down after 10 minutes. So these players have got to dust themselves down. Think about the good things we've done in recent weeks and focus on Tuesday now.
And the misery has been piled onto Basingstoke, who lost 2-1 to AFC Telford in their FA Cup replay last night, missing out on a dream trip to League One leaders Bristol City in the next round. The Redenshaw Cup may be AFC Tottenham's last chance of silverware this season, after failing to progress in the FA Cup, the FA Trophy and the Hampshire Senior Cup. The competition features teams from the Southern League's 3 divisions, and Tottenham took on Poole Town, who sit at the top of their table, a league above the Stags. Afzal Sumrah was at the Testwood Stadium.
Against higher quality opposition, AFC Totton went 1-0 down early on and were caught out by a quick counter-attack soon after the break, with Jack Maloney scoring his 4th cup goal of the season. The away side smelt blood and continued to attack, with Marvin Brooks heading past the goalkeeper to make it 3-0. The home team's heads dropped fast, and Poole Town completed a nightmare 7-minute spell for AFC Totton, with goalkeeper Steve Mothorpe fumbling Luke Roberts' effort into the net. Totton regained composure and started to pile on the pressure, with substitute Joe Maxwell finding space to curl an effort against the crossbar. The home side were eventually rewarded for their pressure, with Joe Maxwell finding Taylor Edwards with a clever chip pass to end the game with a consolation goal. Afzal Sumra, Winchester News Online.
Nathaniel Klein made his senior England debut against Slovenia. Klein is one of 7 Saints players, including Adam Lallana and Ricky Lambert, to be handed their first team debut under Roy Hodgson.
Klein has been in great form for Saints this season, and he took to Twitter to express his delight at his first England call-up.
England's women international team have sold a record 55,000 tickets for their game against Germany on Sunday. So is there more equality developing across football? Rachel Gunter investigates.
The England women's football team will be playing in front of a record-breaking 55,000 strong crowd at Wembley this Sunday, when they play the current European champions Germany. This is the most amount of tickets sold for a women's match and their first game at the new Wembley. Martina Heath from the Hampshire FA believes that the attitude towards women's football is changing at all levels.
There is still a stigma around girls playing football, but that has changed massively, certainly in the last 10-12 years that I've been involved. I think probably the biggest factor is the Olympic Games. That GB squad was absolutely phenomenal. Everyone wants to see the women's team succeed, and certainly this is the biggest match.
You have to work harder at girls' football than you do boys' football, in my opinion. You've got to do target activity. You've got to market it right. But once you've engaged with them, then it can work like any football. Now there's established leagues, established clubs, and you know the profile of it is certainly higher at a grassroots level as well as nationally. If you have got a talented girl, there is a clear, defined structure in terms of where they can go.
But captain of the University of Winchester team, Katie Cox, believes that girls still have a harder time than boys following a football pathway.
It's obviously very hard for boys, but I mean for girls to get sort of serious, if you were a girl and you say I want to be a professional footballer, it's sort of a bit of a joke, like no one would take it seriously. Like half the girls I know play for Chelsea and things like that, they've all got full-time jobs still, so it's sort of like a, I don't know, not even a dream really, you just don't really think about it. There's been a lot of like negative feelings towards the men's team, and I think people are finally realising that the women's team have actually got such a good chance of winning the World Cup next year. It is changing, but the fact is that there's still a long way to go.
The fans heading to Wembley this Sunday for England versus Germany demonstrated growing popularity of women's football in the UK. However, it's clear to see that there is still a long way to go until equality is achieved on the pitch for men and women. Rachel Gunter, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
That's all from sports, but for more award-winning news, sport and features, head over to winol.co.uk. Bye-bye.